and that she is not alive. Sonora, Mexico, of course, is the area right on the other side of the border from where Tucson, Arizona is. Tucson, Arizona, it's very, very close to Mexico, obviously.
She is dead. Those 3 words, sent in a cold, digital whisper to the offices of TMZ, have just shattered a 2-month-old hope that Nancy Guthrie might still be alive. For 68 days, the world has watched as NBC's Savannah Guthrie sat at the anchor desk with a hollow gaze, pleading for the return of her 84-year-old mother. But the silence from the Sonoran desert has finally been broken by a voice from the shadows. This is no longer just a missing persons search. It is a high-stakes digital chess match involving Bitcoin ransoms, international borders, and a masked intruder whose image still haunts investigators. Why did the kidnapper wait until the exact moment Savannah returned to the Today Show to send this final, chilling ultimatum? Was Nancy ever really in Arizona, or was she moved across the border to Mexico within hours of her disappearance? And most importantly, if the body location is truly being offered for sale on the dark web, who is the persistent sender currently taunting the FBI? Tonight, we dive into the leaked documents and the terrifying new timeline that suggests this case was never meant to be solved. You aren't just watching a report. You are witnessing the final desperate transmission of a case on the brink of total darkness. The nightmare began in the quiet, affluent enclave of the Catalina foothills in Tucson, Arizona. On the evening of January 31st, 2026, Nancy Guthrie had dinner with her family. A routine Saturday night that showed no signs of the violence to follow. She was last seen at approximately 9 p.m., retiring to her bedroom in a house that was supposed to be a fortress of peace. Then, on the morning of February 1st, the world stopped. When Nancy failed to appear at her usual Sunday church service, a concerned fellow parishioner called her family. By 10:30 a.m., Pima County Sheriff's deputies were on the scene, stepping into a reality that felt like a nightmare. What they found changed everything. This wasn't a case of an elderly woman wandering off into the desert heat. There were blood spatters on the front porch, small, rhythmic droplets that told a story of a struggle. The smart doorbell camera had been violently yanked from its housing, leaving behind a jagged hole in the stucco and a final corrupted frame of a hooded figure. Inside, the back door stood wide open, and the silence was deafening. By February 9th, the first ransom note appeared, sent to a local Arizona station, demanding an impossible $6 million in untraceable currency. The deadline passed without a word. For weeks, the investigation went cold, haunted only by the grainy footage of a masked man seen stalking the perimeter at 3:47 a.m. What happened next would change everything. On April 6, 2026, as Savannah Guthrie stepped back onto the Today Show set for her first day back from leave, TMZ's servers lit up with a series of emails from an anonymous source. The before was a search for a living mother. The after is now a hunt for a killer in the digital wasteland. At the center of this storm is Nancy Guthrie, an 84-year-old grandmother described as deeply religious and fiercely independent. But investigators are looking closely at the people who had access to her secluded home. Enter the porch guy, a suspect who exists only in a few frames of low-resolution video recovered by FBI technicians. Standing roughly 5'9", with an average build, he wore a black Ozark Trail backpack and moved with a precision that suggests he had watched the house for days. Then there is the persistent sender, the anonymous individual currently communicating with TMZ from a location outside the United States. This person claims to have been trying to reach authorities since February 11th, expressing a deep, bitter resentment toward the FBI. They are free and the case is frozen, but the egos remain hot, the sender wrote, a detail that feels deeply suspicious to profilers. Why the focus on the ego of the police? Is this a disgruntled former associate or a criminal mastermind enjoying the spotlight? We must also consider the role of unidentified contractors, roofers and HVAC technicians who were reportedly at the residence just days before the abduction. One neighbor reported seeing a hunched-over man in street clothing lurking near the property line 48 hours before Nancy vanished. Every person in this orbit has a shadow, and as of today, the FBI hasn't cleared a single one of them. Was this an inside job facilitated by someone who knew the exact layout of the security system? Or was Nancy simply the victim of a predator who saw a high-profile target in a vulnerable location? The evidence in the Guthrie case reads like a forensic nightmare. According to internal files obtained by our team, the DNA recovered from the porch contains more than 2 distinct profiles, a complexity that Sheriff Chris Nanos has admitted makes investigative genetic genealogy nearly impossible without a direct match. However, the most explosive evidence lies in the TMZ ransom emails leaked this week. The sender is demanding exactly 1 Bitcoin, roughly $70,000 at current market rates, to deliver the kidnappers on a silver platter. The documents reveal a chilling breakdown of the demand: 0.5 Bitcoin for the location of the body, and the remaining 0.5 once a public arrest is made. "I know where her body is and who the kidnapper is," the email states with haunting certainty. Yet, there is a glaring contradiction. In a second note sent just hours later, the same individual claimed, "I saw her alive with them in the state of Sonora, Mexico." How can Nancy be dead and alive in Sonora at the same time? Court filings from the Pima County Sheriff's Department also mention a secondary crime scene involving a towed vehicle found near the border. But the results of that forensic sweep remain classified. One piece of evidence stands out: a single glove found miles from the home, which authorities refuse to confirm belongs to the suspect. It contradicts the official story that the struggle was contained to the porch. If the struggle ended on the porch, why was evidence found 10 miles away in a drainage ditch? To understand the psychology behind these notes, we spoke with experts who have seen this pattern before. The timing of these notes, coinciding exactly with Savannah Guthrie's return to television, is not a coincidence. It is a calculated move to maximize emotional distress and leverage public pressure against the FBI. This sender isn't just looking for money. They are looking for power over the narrative. Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. The profile of the primary suspect is evolving. Profilers describe him as a calculating opportunist who likely targeted Nancy because of her daughter's high-profile career, believing the family would pay anything to avoid a tragedy. This isn't a random snatch and grab. The removal of the doorbell camera suggests a level of technical awareness and premeditation. The suspect didn't just want Nancy. He wanted to go dark immediately, cutting off the digital trail before it could even begin. Dr. Brianna Fox, forensic psychologist. We are looking at 2 distinct suspect profiles. Suspect A, a local resident with knowledge of the Catalina foothills blind spots, possibly someone with a history of stalking or low-level residential crime who escalated to kidnapping. Suspect B, a professional extractor linked to organized crime in the Sonora border region, hired to secure a high-value hostage for a multi-million-dollar payout. Each expert agrees on one thing: the persistent sender is either the smartest man in the room or a cruel hoaxer playing a deadly game with a family's grief. If they are a hoaxer, how do they know about the blood on the porch that wasn't disclosed to the public? The geography of this case points to a terrifying reality. From Nancy's home in Tucson to the border crossing at Nogales is exactly 68 miles, roughly a 1-hour drive down Interstate 19. If the kidnapper took her at 4 a.m., they could have crossed into Mexico before the sun rose and before the first 911 call was ever placed. This leads us to Theory 1, the Sonoran extraction. This theory suggests Nancy was moved to Rio Rico, where the FBI recently conducted a massive raid and then shuttled across the border. The distance from the Tucson home to the Rio Rico search site is exactly 57 miles, a 50-minute drive at 1 a.m. Theory 2, the local betrayal. This theory posits that Nancy never left the Tucson area and that the Mexico connection is a red herring designed to send federal agents on a wild goose chase south of the border. But if that's true, Then who sent the message at 3:47 a.m. from an IP address that the FBI has traced to a non-extradition country? And why was her back door propped open if the struggle happened on the front porch? The most disturbing theory remains that Nancy was killed within hours of the abduction, and the ransom notes are merely a way for a third party to profit from her remains. The distance between the apartment and the suspected warehouse drop-off is exactly 2.7 miles, a 6-minute drive at 1 a.m. Why was a black SUV seen at both locations within that window? The investigation has reached a fever pitch with the latest revelation from the TMZ leak. The persistent sender claims they have been out of the United States for over 5 years, yet they describe the interior of the Guthrie home with impossible accuracy. They mentioned a specific piece of furniture moved during the struggle, a detail never released to the press. This connects the anonymous sender directly to the crime scene or someone who was inside it. Is it possible the person ratting out the kidnappers is actually the one who orchestrated the entire plot from thousands of miles away? Pacing here is relentless. The FBI is now tracking a Bitcoin wallet that was activated only minutes after the TMZ report went live. The mask is slipping. We have a masked man on camera, a ransom note in the inbox, and a daughter on national television begging for answers. The case is no longer just about a missing woman. It's about a digital ghost who is currently holding the location of a potential grave for the price of half a Bitcoin. The connection between the Tucson porch and a server in Eastern Europe has reframed the entire case from a local crime to an international conspiracy. We are left with one final, haunting question. If the FBI pays the ransom and finds nothing, is the persistent sender the next killer, or just the latest victim of a case that has no bottom? You've just seen what the mainstream media has been hesitant to cover in full, the raw, unfiltered digital trail of a kidnapping that has moved from the streets of Tucson to the dark corners of the internet. The Nancy Guthrie case is at a breaking point. With the FBI tracing Bitcoin wallets and TMZ receiving hourly updates, the window for a recovery, or a recovery of remains, is closing with every tick of the clock. This isn't just a news story, it's a plea for justice for a woman who was taken from the safety of her own home. What do you believe? Is the persistent sender a witness looking for a payday? Or is this the most elaborate hoax in true crime history? We need to hear your thoughts. Look at the timeline. Look at the geography. Does the Mexico connection hold weight? Or is it a distraction? Let us know your theories in the comments below. In cases like this, sometimes the most observant viewers find the detail the professionals missed. If you found this investigation vital, please share this video across your platforms. The more eyes we have on these ransom notes and the description of the masked suspect, the harder it is for the truth to stay buried. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We are monitoring this case 24/7 and will bring you the next update the second it breaks. Somewhere in the silence of the Sonoran Desert, the truth is waiting and time is running out. Good night and stay vigilant.